Okay, so this is the next day and I'm back, rested up. Hopefully I can do a little better job today. Uh, Quite honestly, last night I was getting tired and I was rushing myself and I was making mistakes. So it was just time to quit. So some of you may have noticed watching the video yesterday that on this collet magically appeared a Jacob's chuck and I didn't say a word about it. So today we're going to correct that. This is a 0 to ½ inch Jacob's chuck with a ½ inch shank. The reason I'm using this is because this is a ½ inch collet. At the time when this machine was made, it was very common for drill bits to all come with a ½ inch shank, and the drill would taper down, be whatever size you needed. That's not very common anymore, so the solution to this is just simply get a chuck that has a ½ inch shank. Now this goes in here and it secures with this set screw. Now this set screw is not the original, I had to replace it. The original was just too worn, too far gone, it didn't hold anymore. It was very easy to turn it too far and strip out. So there you go. That's the step I missed yesterday. Sorry about that. I hope I've corrected it now. So back to where I left off. I've assembled the manual feed brackets and now I'm going to install all of that. I did, however, have to take it halfway back apart to install it because I've forgotten how it went together. Again, these are the two S-shaped brackets. Now the side with the through hole goes over here on my right facing the machine. It's like that. The side with the fretted hole, I want to get a rag and wipe that up. It's got a little dirt on there. That's better. Goes over here. Now again, it's really personal preference which one you put on which side. Personally, I like the little chamfered edge facing out. I just think it looks nicer. But it really doesn't matter which way they go. Want to put a little bit of oil in between those moving parts. Okay. Now I don't want to tighten this all the way, I want it to have a little bit of slop in it because it is moving. And then a jam nut goes on this side. And I'll give that a little snug with my ratchet. It doesn't have to be super tight, it's just tight enough that it won't work its way loose. And that's got about a 16th worth of slot back and forth. And now I'll take this big thing. Now there's two legs to this. The longer leg goes on the left side facing the machine, and on the front you see how this side's flat and this side curves out. The curved out side faces down. So I'll set this over the collar, and then I'll screw in the dogs that will secure it on. Now this little set screw, I'm just going finger tight. I see no need to put a wrench on and torque it down. Because honestly, the dog that's on this side, it bottoms out, so it's tightened on its own. And that's a little bitty bolt. I just don't want to put any more stress on it than I have to. Now I'm going to mount the return spring. At the end of this return spring is a hook. It's basically just an eye bolt. And there's a nut in here. I reached in here with a socket on a 3-inch extension just to tighten it on. I'm not going to show that on video because really nothing to see. Now this hook's on. And this is another personal preference thing. I'm going to put the hook facing in, so that way it looks a little cleaner, and this way I won't ever risk scratching myself on the end of the hook. Just like that. And on the end down here goes the flathead screw. Now this eye bolt does provide a little bit of adjustment to the spring tension. I've left it as loose as it can be because this is a 100-year-old spring. I don't want to stress it any more than I have to, because I would like to keep this machine as original as I possibly can. Now goes on the manual feed handle, and this has a cog on this side which engages it in here, and I guess just depending on how tall you are, what's comfortable for you, you can put it up high, you can put it lower. And it can also be removed if you're using manual feed all the time, so that way it doesn't get in the way. Now there's a fruit hole on this side bracket, the other side is threaded. And I did put a little bit of oil on this bolt before I started the video clip. And a jam nut on the back side. Just going finger tight for now. I'll adjust it to where it's comfortable for me later. Okay, next step. This is a neat little trick I discovered early this morning. The way I've done this in the past is just grab this spring and basically put my body weight on it, stretch it out, put that screw in. It's dangerous, it's a pain, I don't like it. So what I've discovered is screw these dogs in, bring the quill down about halfway, lock the half nut in place so it's locked. Then I use the feed handle and stretch the spring. And then I can take these bolts and bolt them in here. It's a little stiff. And of course I have the wrong size socket. Okay. I don't want to let go of this handle because I don't want that spring to pop. Okay. Now I feel a little better. Get the other side in. And really the only reason I'm using the ratchet here is because I'm fighting against that spring. If it wasn't for that, these bolts would probably go right in. Okay. Now before I tighten those joints up, I'll put a little bit of oil in between these parts. Okay. Chasing drips. Alright. Now finish tightening these up. Now just like up here, I'm not tightening all the way, I'm leaving a little bit of room. About 1/16 of an inch in there. And 2 jam nuts, one on each side. And I'll snug those up off camera. I gotta go find a wrench to do it. Now that this is all bolted together, I'll grab my handle, pull down on it, shake the tension off the half nut, open the half nut, and there it is. And you see how that spring is still stretched a little. This is where I was having problems earlier. I couldn't figure out how to do that. But I really like that method way better than just hanging off that spring and hoping for the best. Okay, I'll go grab a couple more parts and come back with more stuff. Well, I had to take that spring off again. It's okay, because now I know the secret to make it easy. I just took out this one top bolt instead of two lower ones this time. Reason why is because there's a bolt hole behind it that I have to get to for ratchet. And I'll take you to the other side of the machine so you can see what's going on with that. There's the hole right there that I have to be on the other side of with a ratchet. Now the next thing I'm doing is mounting this. This is a large bracket that holds most of the gears that drive the whole machine. And it goes right there. Now something to mention before I start doing this, there's 3 bolts that hold it. One here, here, and here. The one that goes here is about 1/4 inch shorter than all the rest. Hopefully you can see that. Reason why is it's thicker here and thicker here. It's thinner here. The casting is. So here we go. I'm going to start with the longer bolts just because it's a little easier. Put a little bit of oil on it first. Okay, now I'm ready. There's bolt number 2. And finally the one behind the spring. Now I'm going to leave all of these not finger tight, but maybe it's just a little more than that. The reason why is because a shaft goes through here and then through here. I want to be able to have a little wiggle in here until I get that lined up. Okay. Gonna go ahead and pause the video. I'm gonna get some stuff laid out and ready to go, so you're not watching me chasing my tail trying to find stuff. Okay, I've got some parts laid out and I oiled the parts before I started the camera, so hopefully this will go a little quicker. This is a gear at the end of a 13 or 14 inch long shaft. This goes through this hole here. And then we have a smaller gear with a set screw. I'll go ahead and get that started. Okay. Down here also is a witness mark, and I'm struggling to see the other end of it. Give me a second. Well, I guess I'll put it in one way, and if it doesn't line up, I'll try the other way. As I see the witness mark on the gear, but I don't see it anywhere else. Thinking about that, I know that's backwards. I remember when I had this machine apart, I found that witness mark, but I don't see it now. I need to loosen this bolt up. So I am having problems with this binding on me. There it goes. Okay. Now I'm going to tighten that set screw. Just gotta grab a couple things. And just like I did with the hand wheel up top, I'm using a 3/8 extension. Let me move you so you can see this better. That's still not any better. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm using an extension with a wrench. It's a very tight and awkward situation here. Oops. everything slippery because I've put oil on it. Good for the machine, not so great for the person trying to put the machine together. And I'm having to tighten this with a wrench because once again I got paint in the threads. I think that's my biggest lesson learned with painting machinery is find some way of masking off all the threaded holes. Now this is getting very interesting. Because the set screw is so close to the gear, I can't even get in there with the extension anymore. So I'm going to spin around to the back side. Sorry about that. And oh good, it's there. Cool. Just making sure it has room to move around, and it does. Moves freely. Okay, now for the next part. Off camera, I'm oiling a small shaft. Which goes right here. Just making sure everything lines up like it's supposed to. Now I'm getting the gear ready. Putting the set screw in. Okay, it's good and started. Now this goes in here. And this gear meshes with that smaller gear I put in a moment ago. It's not lining up. I pulled out the small shaft so I can see how it's not lining up. There. Now it's in. And now if I turn the spindle, all this should turn. Yay. Cool. Remember I said if I put that gear in backwards, I guess I'll just take it out and flip it around. Guess what? It's in backwards. That's okay. I'll do that off camera. It's nothing exciting to watch. And I'll also tighten this set screw off camera.